Speaker Pro. Properties. Hi Lorenzo. Hello. How are you doing? How is it going? Wait, I didn't turn on the lights either. It's a mess. My room is a complete mess. My room is a full-on mess now. I'm doing good. I'm doing very good. Are you ready for your birthday? Hi JJ. Hello. I wanna fix my face before Marcel enters the stream. Let me so. Oh, I fucked it up. I didn't do it before streaming. Oh, 2. No, actually 2. So if I don't put it on 2, it should be alright. Wait. If I don't put... Okay. Should be alright now. So we can also play music. Okay. There we go. Good morning, Jake. Hi, Arya. Hi, Sandra. Wait, is that a gif of me munching? What are these? What are these new emotes? What are these new emotes? What the? What are these? Holy shit. Oh, thank you for setting the category, Javier. Wait, let me also do the story. Yes, JJ, but you were not supposed to open it yet. What is that? What is me on the cars? No. This is a song banger, I agree. Tiago, thank you so much for the beauty. I don't know what is that for, but I appreciate you. Wait, let me do the story. Wait, oh my god, my face. I look a little bit better here, but in the stories. um, By the way, I was thinking, I'm sorry if I'm doing very random streams lately. Like, I didn't even tell you what time I was going to go live today. I hope you don't mind. I have as a new resolution to be more clear what we're doing. Oh my god, that emote of me on me. Oh my god, that's fucking hilarious. I swear. Buona vigilia, microonde. Buona vigilia. I swear. Wait. I think we can do this. It's all good, G. I think you were aware of the cows. Yeah. I know, but still, like, Okay, I would like it to be more... Wait, I don't need this, actually. If I do this... Okay. Look at you. Can you please spam the... Can you please spam the other one? I don't know if I can see it on this chat. I cannot see it here. No, I cannot see it on this chat. Wait, let me open it from another place. Chat. I have... Oh, I can go Chatterino. Right. I have Chatterino. I forgot that I downloaded that. I don't... There we go. Can you please spam Marie the time? I love it. Microonde! Micron, thank you so much for the 2 months with the Prime. I was supposed to have the volumes here on the computer. Apparently, they're not working. Micron, thank you so much. If you do exclamation mark song, you get the name of the song. Shit! Micron, wait. Thank you so much for the Prime, for the 2 months with the Prime. Really appreciate you. Here, can you do some meows or something? Please? I want to check if it works. I thought that was the screen that was working. Okay, that's... Okay. Cool. Fixed, so I can hear them. Wait, let me also make you hear them. Okay. There we go. Let me make myself a bit... Hello? We don't need this chat, but we need this one bigger. Okay, so I can see you. And you don't see too much of like how big of a mess my room is right now. It's too much. It's very, very much. Like it's very bad. Very, very bad. The meows are on the speaker, yeah. Right now the meows are on the speaker as the TTS, as any alerts. Because like it's easier so then the music is not the MCA'd. But hello, did you sleep well this morning? Oh my god. Yesterday night, I didn't want to sleep late. Because in the end, it was not late. When we finished Lord of the Rings, it was like midnight something. Today cooking stream, not really, because I was not allowed to use the kitchen. Today, I'm not allowed to use the kitchen, unfortunately. A slap time. I love the nom nom one. I love the nom nom one. It was midnight. Yeah, I was really close to not make it. If you didn't know, you're looking to be in production in 2 hours. Mattia, what you mean? It's the day before Christmas. You have to work. Crayon time? What do you mean I'm eating crayons? Anyway, yesterday we watched Lord of the Rings all together, right? On Discord, everyone was invited. Thank you, by the way, Jake, for being there. Can I please have a beautiful, huge clap for Jake that stayed up all the times and downloaded the movies legally for us to see them on Discord all together? Thank you so much for that, Jake. We were all about to fall asleep. The Augsman squad. Thank you so much for the BDs. I don't know what are those for, but I appreciate you. Legally. Very legal. And Starship, hi! So yesterday we didn't go to bed. Wait, I think that I fucked it up here. Just chatting. Done. I think that I didn't, are you team 24 dinner, 25th lunch for Christmas? I rather, like, I usually, like, as a celebration, I would rather have it on the 24th, but I prefer how I spend it on the 25th. Treat me this shitty, you make me hate this city, and I don't talk shit about you on the end. Anyway, we should watch The Hobbit, maybe? I don't know. Maybe. You want to have it as a new goal? Anyway, for engineering students, there is no difference between a common Monday and the day before Christmas. Oh no. Shit. I'm sorry, Matti. I'm sorry. Happy holidays to you, the Ogs squad. So, like, this morning when I woke up, like, I like, yesterday before going to bed, I put, like, an alarm at 10, thinking, oh, I'm gonna definitely wake up before 10, for sure. I woke up because of the alarm and I was so fucking tired. Oh my god, so tired. So tired. A destroyed girl? Yes, I am, very much. I don't know why. I don't know why I'm so tired. Maybe because yesterday we talked a lot and we walked a lot. You went to bed at 4? What did you do until 4? Who's gonna do something today? What are your plans for today, chat? Do you have anything that you will be doing? Un sondaggio o un what, Poppe? Campari or Aperol? Aperol. By the way, I'm just fixing a little bit my face, not too much. Not too much. Enk went live at 4 a.m. Enk went live at 4 a.m. Crazy. Crazy, crazy. Poor Enk, he asked me if we want to meet like for like say Good Christmas to finish also the rocket. But I generally have either zero time or I don't have like I'm not good at planning. Like I don't know. You know how I am? I just don't wanna exist for these last weeks. I would like to not exist in the last weeks. Then the new year is gonna start and I'm gonna be doing everything all over again. Who still can't wrap present? You cannot? Actually, I want to like, what's happening? No, wait, no, it's not sad. It's okay. No, don't be sad, Chad. I didn't want to make you sad. I'm sorry, Chad. I'm really sorry. Ciao, mamma. Biscotti? No.
Oh, no.
No. Sei venuto fino qua per prendere i biscotti?
Sono andata a Milano, se non ho più.
Cute. She came here to ask me for cookies. Oh, you can say hi. You can say good morning at least. She's gone with the cookie. I'm sorry, Chat. She's gone with the cookie. She said like she went to the kitchen, she couldn't find them anymore. Like then she found them. Sandra Cheese better than Babbo Natale. Oh my god, 100%. 100%. The story is also cooler. Yeah, that's what she does. So for today, what I was thinking of is I didn't write it in the story because I don't want like some people to know about it. But I still have to wrap some presents. I should also receive like the present for my sister. Did I tell you about them, right? I'm super excited. So I need to like wrap them. I checked the lamp for my sister's boyfriend and it's so cool. It's generally very, very cool. Like it works perfectly. You put your phone up there and it charges the lamp. It's really, really cool. Let's light sadness away. I don't know, chat. Are you the ones that when you're sad, do you listen to happy or sad songs? I like to vibe with my sadness a little bit, you know. It's a lamp, not with a USB port, but yes, also with a USB port, but also like I put my phone on it. It's not sadness, it's just expectations. Fair. And I think, you know what it is also? I think that it's just because like it's the end of the year. Even if you don't like it, even if you think like, oh, it's just like a normal day, right? But it's the end of the year, so it's like naturally I think that I listen to sad songs even when I'm happy. Same. I think that it's natural to like just thinking back about what we did in the last year, right? And I think that most of us, I don't think that, is there any one of you who can clearly say, I'm so happy about last year, I did everything I wanted to do, there is nothing that I left behind and I achieved all of my goals? If there is, I would be so fucking happy. The year flew away, right? The year flew away. Is it normal that no professor wants me to do their thesis with them? Is it about the thesis or is it about you? What do you think? Right, it's normal to not be happy with it. Because I think that we're all intrinsically very like overachievers. I'm okay, I'm doing very okay. How about you, Eric? You're still in bed? Good morning, Julie. It's okay. You can take a slow day today. It's very much okay, I think, to not... Because even if we achieved all of the things, we still would not be happy enough, right? Yeah, that's the point. I achieved a lot of goals, but I'm not 100% satisfied. Yeah, I agree. Oh, shit. Oh, shit. Shit. I'm doing worst. I'm doing worst. Okay. Many achievement moments and some regrets. I agree. I have a couple of achievements. Like, if I think about it, I have a lot of achievements. I did so many things that 1 year ago I would never think of. Like, never. I can offer the... I cannot put... They're not looking the same eyes. Okay. Kinda. Hello, Sakura. Happy day before Christmas to you too. It was terrible for you, Ari? Really? Was it that bad? I'm sorry to hear that. I'm really sorry to hear that. Oh, okay, we got it. Okay, careful. We got the gift from my sister. Chat, we got the gift from my sister too. So we can officially do both the packages that I have to do. Oh, and also, okay. So we got from my sister the ear tag. And I can also show you the other thing that I got her. So I'm gonna clean a little bit, then we're gonna do that. Ciao, Papa. And then I also got this one. My dad's screaming. I also got this one. I don't know how to... Let's use the back of the Rimmel. Wait, let me close the door. They're screaming. Not in a fightful way.
Which you prefer? Prefer?
What?
Which you prefer?
What do I prefer?
Which
one do I prefer? Between the two things that I sent you?
Yeah.
Oh, wait. Sacrogral! Thank you for the 7 months with the Prime. Sacrogral, thank you so much for the 7 months with the Prime. I appreciate you, really. Thank you for that. Let me make the alerts a bit bigger. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Because with the 7 months, enjoy the Christmas. See you again. Thank you. You are the sweetest. Oh, I have keys back here. I appreciate you for it. So I did, like, my dad wants to send to his friends. Okay. Hi, Rising. Hello. My dad wants to send to his friends a picture on, as a message. So, like, he asked me to do, like, a graphic for him. I didn't have the heart to tell him that it's very cringe. So I made it. And I sent him two. One with a picture that he sent me, which is horrible. And one that I did entirely by myself. So. You love the melancholic mix? Yes, Chibi, for you. For make you cry. I'm joking. I also got these. These are not a gift for anyone. These are just, like, the cables that are gonna go from the... Oh my god, it might be too short. Oh my god, they might be too short. Because these ones are gonna go in the microphone. And so then I can use the Go XLR as a microphone. And the point is, like, I got two because it was cheaper than getting just one. So I got two. I don't know why. One of these was like €3. No. €3.70. Two of them was €3.50. I got two. Wait. Who's sane in mind would not get two? Because I know that I'm gonna break them, right? From here all the way to there, it might be a little bit too short. But what if I just put it right under there? Maybe. We'll see. Very true. What? Sometimes it's okay to oblige with parents' weird requests. Yeah. SCADA micro SD. Oh, true! They cost less than the freaking thing that we got yesterday. Anyway, done with the makeup. I am so glad that you're seeing this from this angle because you're not seeing the mess that there is in my room now. Right now it's such a mess. I need to fix it. I need to fix it. Later I'll fix it. But not now. God. But I did something good yesterday. I need you to be proud of me. I need you, chat, to be proud of me. Wait, the coasters are all the way there. Wait. I need you to be proud of me. Yesterday, I charged all of... No, it's not... yeah, I use NordVPN, but not that. But yesterday, I charged all of the devices. So... this one is charged. Wi-Fi is charged. The phone is charged. The power bank is charged. Now I'm charging the other power bank and the speakers. Thank you, chat. Thank you. You see, I learn my lesson. You see, I learn lessons. I learn. I just need to recharge myself. Buff. But the G's not working, right? I don't know why that one is not. Okay, New Year's, I'm also gonna fix all the scenes, I guess. I planned a New Year's Eve. Yes, I'm gonna be with my friend in I don't know where we're gonna be. So like I was planning to go. I'm planning to go with my friend Camilla, the one that you saw already. Maybe she was blonde, and I taught her Christmas Eve. Yes, AC. AC, thank you so much. Ok. Tieni la porta aperta allora, Santa. Ok. AC, thank you so much. AC. My dad is making fun of me, but it's fine. AC, thank you so much for 21 months. Thank you for being back here for 21 months. I appreciate you. So the idea for today is we're gonna wrap the gift for my sister and my sister's boyfriend. Then 21 is fucking crazy, right? If you look at look what I did the other day. Because you know that I'm changing the new computer. Yes, I'm having breakfast right now. Don't judge. No, this is don't look at this video. It's fine. I was not looking at this one, but how do I switch? Wait, do I have to switch VODs? All right. I did something the other day because I am trying to like clean the old computer and put the things back up here. So this, how do I see my videos? Can I see just the channel? So we have this. Oh, I'm still huge. Wait, I'm still huge. Wait, I'm still huge. So you know that I have the channel with the VODs, right? I have the channel with the VODs that they just upload, not edited, no nothing, just the VODs, all of them there. I've been, well, here you can see the one from yesterday. The quality was not too bad. I was looking at it. The quality was not too bad from yesterday. That was good. But we also have the throwback. I published a lot of throwbacks, chat. There's a lot of throwbacks. Like, this one is from me when I had 629 follows. 629 follows. Do you understand? And I think that if we go here, we're gonna be able to see AC in these ones. You got some really nice emotes out of it? Yeah, nice. Like, this is... If we wait here, she's gonna definitely come here. I think that once I saw like a clip and she was among the people talking. So yeah, the thing was crazy. You see, I think that I removed it. Like, there was, and then I removed it because it was too awkward. Because it was like here. Because it was like it just appears for a second here. Just because like it was weird because the like just one day a guy came in and it just dropped like 500 subs or like something like 200 subs and I was like what the fuck? What the fuck? And that was it. Like it was cool, but it's as you know, I value very much the single ones. Like if you do one sub, it means shit tons to me. If you then decide to support with the 20 subs, I love you, fucking love you. But what I want to grow is I want to grow in single subs. I need to reach more people. More people needs to like love us, you know. Anyway, there's a lot of like throwbacks. I was always saying there is this one I was cooking. I don't even remember what I was cooking. I think that I was doing pão de queijo. Oh no, it was pasta with pepperoni. It was pasta with pepperoni. Gift 100 one by one cottage. But gifted subs gave us this. Yeah, I know. Gifted subs gave you that. I know. Wait, I can do this. Ha. I love this new thing of Windows 11. That's really cool. That's really, really cool. So yeah, if you want to see throwbacks, you have all of them here. Like, there's many. This is also from Christmas back in the days. Like last year. Christmas last year. With the window. With the mirror. With me and short hair. With short hair, it looks completely different. Yeah. I looked like that. I looked like an egg. I looked very much like an egg. I'm trying to see if I can see AC anywhere here. All of this started because I want to see if there is AC. Oh, Pero was already here. Pero used to be on the screen way more often. Like, she used to, like, sleep over there. I'm covering myself? Oh, no, really? I am? Oh, really? I'm covering myself. Okay. Oh, I didn't notice that. Thank you for making me notice. Let me move myself a little bit. Okay, is it better? Is it better? Am I talking now? Yeah, anyway. Let's not get into the memory lane, please. I'm done. Anyway. What else? Wait. So, the idea for today is I want to finish packing the things for my sister, like her gift. I need to finish packing wrapping up her gift. Also wrapping up my sister's boyfriend's gift. And then I want to do something with you. I think that it would be funny. What if I saw a tier list? I've never done a tier list ever before. But I think that with the Christmas, we can easily like do this one. Let me find it. Wait, maybe first find it. I don't even know how to start it. Okay, this one. What do you think about doing... Oh, you don't see shit. Sorry. This one! Date ideas tier list. And here we have a lot of dates, and then we put them in places. Lo bombio lo paso. Wait, what? No, smash your pass. Someone in Zoidberg category? No. You have to read them though? Yeah, I can make it bigger. I can make them bigger. So many ads. Okay, would this be okay? But first I need to... It looks so bad like this. It looks so messy. I'm sorry. I'm sorry if this looks super, super messy. I'm sorry if this looks super messy. You know something that I also realized that I forgot about doing? And mods, I'm so fucking sorry. I'm really, really sorry, mods. I forgot to get you your balls, mods. I only got Cami. I only got Cami's ball. No. Because every mod has... I wanted to give every mod a ball. What was it? I didn't hear. I wanted to give each one of you a ball on this tree. Cami wanted to have a squirrel, so I got her a squirrel, which was easy to find. I didn't think so. It was easier than finding an ugly one or a cat one. And then I wanted to ask you about yours, but then I also forgot. Oops. Anyway. This is the one for my sister. Wait, let me get the stuff. This desk is way too messy. Wait, let me put some stuff away so I can actually do something on it. Oh my god. Like, me putting stuff away is just moving them away. Okay, tea goes up here. Do you want to have the ball? Which ball do you want to have? Bruh. Aren't you enough with your stew ball? Okay, I didn't clean up, but I moved the stuff away. Tea goes in the kitchen sink. I didn't finish it. I didn't finish it. It's okay. I didn't finish it. Wait, let me go get the gifts. I'm missing one part. I'm missing one part. Where did it go? Wait, this is a tissue. Where did it go? Is it? Wait, I don't know because yesterday I checked it, like I looked at it with my mom and maybe she moved it somewhere. I also need that AirTag. I need that AirTag for my brain. Not answering. Let's see if my dad answers since he's with her. Isn't Christmas tomorrow? Yes. Am I getting ignored? I don't... It's 1 hour to Christmas in Sydney. Really? Oh, then have Merry Christmas, Norwegian. You bought the same desk light? Is it useful? I think that it's really, really cool, isn't it? Okay. I'm thinking, well, let's start to wrap the one for my sister's brother, my sister's boyfriend. I was thinking about using this one. I need a scissor and I need a tape. I can't even find the tape. I can't even find it. I can't even find it. Okay, we're gonna be using this tape, which is ugly, but I cannot find the others. We're gonna be using that one, I'm sorry. We're gonna be this one. Ugly, this one, sorry. Ugly, but it's. Gift wrapping is SM fun. So much fun. Much better than looking for gifts. What would be the best language? R or Python? Shit. Watermelon. I personally prefer R as a language. But for data science, it's better to have to use Python. Happy to see you too, Manny. Okay. By the way, today I don't think that there is enough space here. There's not enough space here. What am I supposed to do with this lack of space? Okay. By the way, did you do gifts? What is the gift that you did that you're most proud of? They'll start with Python. Oh, yeah. I thought you knew it and you just... like this, I think, should be right. Here. I'm not really sure if I'm good at wrapping up stuff. You're given the best gift that you're given this year. Which one is the best one? The one that you think is gonna be so cool when the person will open it, because you're gonna be like, yeah, I knew you were gonna like it. So it has to wrap. So it has to go this, this, and this. So around here. You didn't do any gift? How come? How come you didn't do any gifts this year? Oh my god, how good does it feel when it cuts like this? I'm not even like cutting, it just like... Wireless headphones for your bro? That's sweet, that's so cool. How old is your bro? Alright. Slicing. Get into your ribs? It should not be... Fuck, I feel... You know with the old maps, when you have to like fold them... Or like with newspapers? How the fuck do I... Okay. I think that I found the way. All right. Oh my god. Get. No, it's not. No, it's not right. How the... Okay. And then I wrap it again, and then I wrap it... Ah, beautiful. It was not with this side, but it's fine. Oh, it's not from this side because I cut it. Okay. He recently moved into a new house. It's a bonsai plant. Oh, that sounds so cool. That sounds very, very cool. You have a lot of gifts wrapping? Go for it. Go for it. Okay. Huh. Newspaper, because we still use those. I think that I don't use newspapers, mostly because they're a freaking mess. At least a gift for Nanny. No. You're getting a gift to Nanny? Does it deserve it? I feel like I would be using a newspaper if it was not a freaking pain to handle. Right? They're just a... Why do they make it such a pain? Like, of course you're losing customers. It's such a pain. Okay. This is gonna be a very ugly tape. But it doesn't matter, right? In any case, you're gonna wrap the paper. Like, you're gonna just... Nanny deserves a gift. In any case, like, you're not even gonna notice about that. You're not even gonna notice. Like, you will remember. Maybe it's gonna be like a way of laughing. It's fine. And then look at this. To do the end of ones. First of all, you wrap them as a little sausage. All right, you wrap them as a little sausage. Then you go on the sides. You push it down, and you make it do like little flips on the side. How is possible? Oh, if you do ! music, you get to Last FM, and then you get it. But it's like a playlist that it's like randomly generated, like, you know, the ones, the moody mix that gets created. Then you do the little corners. Hi, Karpa. And then you flip them inside. And you flip the other inside. Holy shit. Okay. There we go. It looks like this. And then you flip it up again. And that's how it looks cool. But you should remember to have a piece of this ready. Hi, Natarefi. Thank you. Merry Christmas. Shut. Merry Christmas to you too. And then you close it. There's a hair. Shit. Okay, cool. Haha. Look at that. Pretty. It looks like it was made by a professional. Then you do the other way. Still pointy things. Pointy things. Oh wait, the microphone is... Pointy things on this side too. You close one side, then you close the other side. And always remember to have this one ready before doing this. Shit. You think it's cool? I don't think it's cool. There we go. One time we say vertical, one time we say vert. Yes! What's wrong with my face? I fixed it now. And then we write on it with the Sharpie that I use for your balls. Per Nico. There we go. Balls? Yes, I use it to write on your balls. Those balls, chat. Don't be weird, I meant those balls. Twisted minded. Wait. I'm getting ignored by my family. Let's see if anyone will answer. Ah, mi puoi passare la mamma per favore?
Come?
Mi passi la mamma per favore?
Non riesco a recuperarla adesso, perché dimmi.
Perché non... Come l'hai persa in mezzo a un negozio?
L'ho perso in negozio, non so, a me scappa via, non l'ho trovato. Eccola qua.
Ok, me la passi per favore?
Ma è in crisi perché non trovo la maglia, è urgente.
Come non trovo la maglia?
Non trovo la maglia che aveva visto.
Sì che è urgente. My mom was lost. My dad is like, I lost your mom. I don't know where she is. I have no idea. Wait, I know where the thing is now. And he said like, oh, she's getting stressed because she cannot find the sweater she wanted to buy as a gift. She cannot find it anymore and she's stressed. So this is the one that I got for my sister. This thingy. Like a chain, like a keychain. Wait. It looks cool, doesn't it? Like it's metal, and here it's leather. It's really, really cool. Better than yours? I think that it can be cool. So like, I should like already mount it for her, right? I will already mount it so she will understand what does it mean, what it is, how it works. Bye, Manny. Thank you for passing by. Let's open an ear tag. If you don't know what an ear tag is, it's something that Apple made that you will like to find, like you can find it wherever it is. You can find it back. And I'm gonna attach it to the keychain of my sister, so if she loses her keys, she's cool. She's not lost. Okay. Let me share. It looks like this inside. That's how it looks like. Key locator, yes. It's not super expensive. It's like $30. You can get one for your glasses. It's like $30, which is maybe a little bit too much for like an air tag, you know, for like something just to locate stuff. But if you think about like I spent like $10 for this one, it's like 40 for a keychain. It's cool and useful one. I think that's okay. What if you lost your phone too? Well then. So I don't think that you have to recharge it. You should never charge it, apparently. And it should last for like a long time. Considering Apple price, that's cheap, right? 30, yeah, I think it's 30 is expensive, but how do I... I'm just gonna remove all the plastics, I guess. And I'm gonna try to put it in the thingy. Oh no, maybe not. Maybe not all of it. Because once I press this one, they're really useful. Nice. Once I pull away this one. Is that coffee in the white? No, those are biscuits or cookies. Once I pull this one away, then it's gonna start working. So I'm just gonna... How do you open this? Oh, you... Shit, I have nails. I will not take it off. I will not take it off. Not entirely. For an Apple product, you were expecting something more expensive? Fair. How do I open you? 10 coffee biscuits? No. How the... How do I open this shit? There's no instruction in these things, of course. I have no idea. Twisting it? I don't think so. There's like a little, like, if you look at it. I don't know if you can see it. You see there, there's like that little thing, like hole that I should like put. I don't want to break it, but I want to open it. Hi, Costa. Wait. What if I just give it to her like this? I give it to her closed and she deals with it. I'm scared of breaking it. I'm scared of breaking it. That's a good idea, yes, yes. You don't understand why I should open it? Because how do I put the air tag in it? How do I put... How do I put this one in here? You have to open it and it closes, right? Alright, let's just put the air tag also in his little thingy. Back at it. She will deal with it. I don't want to know. She puts the air tag in. Not it's her job, not yours. Yeah, but I want to give her like the full keychain. If she breaks it, I can be like, oh my god, did you actually break it? It's a gift that I made for you. The spirit of Christmas, passing hard stuff to others to do. Yep. Yep, exactly that. Exactly that. I think that we've almost finished then wrapping the gifts. I just have to find like a thing to put it in. Because I don't like this one. I don't want to put it like in this one. So I want to like give it to her like this. Let me find it. Let me face it. If there's like a little baggie. So this is the box that we have. This is the box that we have with all of the, like, you know when someone gives you like a really cool gift and it's the wrapping is really cool? We just keep it. Oh. You give up on gifts? Fair. That looked cool, and we could also like put this one on it. Hi, Steps. Do we have other options? No. No, I think that's cool. Apple silver is perfect, yes. Then we're gonna put this one inside. I think that this year I've been really, really cool with gifts. I don't even need the tape for it. Let's go. Wait. Christmas dead? Oh. Wait. Go in there. Go in there. There we go. By the way, if someone ever gives you a gift and they wrapped it in a very cool thing, keep the thing. You can use it for other gifts. Trust. Look at this. And you're not even wasting. Can I come to Bali? Oh, with me and Marcel? Sure. Sure. Yesterday, if you know Marcel, yesterday I went to his live and he was saying like, oh yeah, I should go away, I should go places. Like, bro, let's go to Bali. I want to go to Bali, let's go there. Just remember to not use it for a gift that a person gave it to you. I don't think that I would remember, to be honest. I don't think that I would remember how I wrapped stuff. Looks cute to me. Look at this. Soviet! Soviet, thank you so much for that. Soviet, thank you so much. Thank you so much for the 2 months with the Prime. I appreciate you. I appreciate you. I need something like that, but I don't have the money after, yeah. Soviet, thank you for the 2 months. Appreciate you for it. Okay, we finished with the gift wrapping part. We're coolio. Shall we go judge some dates now? Shall we go judge some dates? By the way, chat, do you want Christmas music or are we okay with this music? What about gift for Hank? I think that it's gonna be delivered directly. No Christmas music? No Christmas, okay. Okay. What does judging dates means? I show it to you immediately. There we go. This is what I mean. No. Top right. There we go. This is what I mean. I mean, we can also just go like this. Alright. We're gonna be putting in tier list dates, ideas. A gift for the cat. For my cat? Okay. No, I'm not on the hunt. I'm just... So we have S, A, B, C, D, and I would add... Can I add? Add a row above. Ah, oh, my bad, my bad. F. S is like, please marry me. A is like, we can think about it. B is like, bruh. Okay. C is Y. D is gonna be, oh my god. Really? And this one is like, for sake. Alright? And no in between. Please marry me, we can think about it. Change the last color, you're right, you're right. Let's change this one to a, for F's sake. And also the colors here are all wrong. This one should be, oh my god, really? This one should be this one, Y, bro, okay. And we can think about it. And then please marry me. There we go. This makes sense. Nah. Is that okay? Do we like this tier? Date ideas. Date ideas. Date ideas in general. Okay. We have first one. Backyard camping. I need to know also what would you do with that? Backyard camping. How would you like it, chat? Where would you put it? Think about it. See? Oh, okay. I think that it's actually like, maybe it should be better if it was like... Let's do this. Otherwise, A. Otherwise it's not understandable, right? I realize that people are not understanding. So you can just put that. It was fine? Never mind. Okay, never mind. Jalfor said no. Sorry, chat. I wanted to make it easier for you. Okay. Never mind. Never mind. Never mind. Okay, okay, okay. Hello, weird. Never mind. Never mind. No, not first date. Not first date. Ever. Does Italy have bears? Yes, but not in a not in a backyard. I hope. See? But some of them depends on the relationship you have. Well, I feel like for not as a first, okay, not a first date, because if it was like a first date, well, even if it was like a first date, imagine like you know each other, right? It's not like a Tinder and you just meet this person out of random and they say, oh, come to my backyard, we're gonna go camping. That would be creepy. But if you like already like friends, you've seen each other like out with other people and they finally ask you out and then you just, I think that it would be cute. Like a date that like the date that either someone that you know, but it's not like a blind date. All right, it's not a blind date, not blind date. Okay. So like, right? Like imagine like you meeting this person and they just arranged everything for the date, and then there's like this tent and there's like little candles and there's like hot chocolate and there's like a place where you can look at the stars, maybe with the telescope. I would put like in this one, please marry me. I would find it so cute. I would find it generally very, very cute. Plus it's the effort. That someone puts in it. You know, like, because you have to prepare everything. I think that would be like, good job. It's hella cute. It's hella cute, but not like too cheesy. Hella cute, but not too cheesy. Right? I don't know. A at most? I don't know. Why? We don't. What's wrong with saying hella cute? What's wrong with saying hella? What's wrong with saying hella? Anyway. Arcade date. Oh, this is like date ideas tier list. Wait, let me put it in the. Okay. What about arcades? What about arcade date? An arcade date, chat. Hella cute. Shut up. Bro, okay? Only bro, okay? Arcade is sala giochi if you're Italian. So like where you play like video games. Yeah, where you play video games. Or like you also like you know the Dino! Oh, Dino, that's your very first time here. Dino, thank you so much for that. Dino, thank you so much. Dino, thank you so much for the... Wait, there we go. Dino, thank you so much for using the Prime here for the very first time. I appreciate you. There are so many negative, only a real good one, no? Oh, negative? Yeah, it's really difficult because I'm a very difficult person. Actually, that's true. Okay, let's move from let's make it. Okay, let's make it like this. All right. We can think about it. Here's like cute. This is cute. All right. You're actually right. Sorry, I was being way too negative, Matto. But this is better. You're right. There is one in between. Wait, okay. So I'm gonna tell you this. I have been on an arcade date, and it was super hella cute, and it was really, really nice. It was genuinely very nice. Even if I beat the guy in like a couple of games. But it was really, really cute. It's either an A or an S. Then it didn't go well, but it was an A or an S for that. Yeah, you're both playing. You also see how the other person reacts to those. I think, and also you have the time to talk, right? So like if you go like clubbing, for example, I don't think it's really nice because you cannot like talk to the person. You're not learning anything about them. But during games, yeah. No worries. I'm gonna give a lot of no's. already a champion before. Arcade date are cool, but never had C1. Yeah, there's a lot of ideas. A lot of ideas. I think that this would be cool for a couple to do together, and then they can just share, like, they show it, like, together. Anyway, the arcade date, I think... Gitzo! Come on, Jeff. 16 months? 16 months? Gitzo, thank you so much for the prime. I appreciate you. I appreciate you very much for that. I really do. We have another one? Buona vigilia Natale. Ahmed! Ahmed, thank you so much for the 3 months. Thank you so much for the 3 months in a row. I appreciate you very much. Ahmed, thank you so much. 16 months are too much. Thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. I would say arcade date. I think that it's a hella cute. Like if you take me to arcade date, it means that you understood me. Like that I like to play games, that I like to do that. I think first ones. Not maybe the very first one, but first ones. Corin! Corin! You're back at it. Corin, thank you so much for the 5. Holy fucking shit. Corin, thank you so much for that. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much for that. Really. Shit. Thank you for the 5. Holy heck. Let me put these ones here so we can see those numbers. I appreciate you. You're the sweetest. Thank you for that, Corin. So I would put arcade date there because it means that you know me too, right? Like if you take me to an arcade, it means that you know me. Most genuine side, yeah. Like you can see if they're winning and if they're crying. Like we don't like ugly losers, right? Oh, you're so sweet. Thank you, Corin. As for date number? What do you mean number? It's like a tier for dates. Like how would you, if it's between like the first dates, I would say, you know, like not like you know each other for a year. Well, maybe also if you know each other for a year, but still like when person doesn't know you too well, like that kind of. Taking a class. I mean, it could be interesting to take a class. Like, but even if it was like a cooking class. I don't like it's you have a teacher talking in front of you. It's not you talking to the other person. Anatomy, shut up, Kanka. Right? Cooking class, absolutely yes. You would like it, Julie? I don't know if I would like it. But at the same, like, I feel like this one could be interesting for someone that is like very shy talking. So you don't do all of the talking, you know? And then after you have things to talk about. Or like pottery, then you have things to talk about. But I don't... Too funny. Electrodynamics class. You can say, I think that I would go for like, I'm not gonna like be like... it's gonna be like more of a why. I'm not gonna hate you because we're doing that, but it's more like... Oh, okay. You know? It's not like I'm gonna be like, ew, what the fuck? Red flag or like, ick. To make a date, you have to know a person. How do you do it? What do you mean, Lorenzo? What do you mean with that? Oh, go-karting! I don't know. I think that I would like to go-karting. I would like to go-karting. But for a date... For a date chat... Like, you don't talk with the other person. Like, yeah, you can talk before and after the go-karting thingy, but how do you know a person? You talk to them. That's what I'm saying. Go-kart is better than dating. For F's sake, you don't like it? Yeah, you don't talk, but I feel like in the class you talk. I don't know. Like, it's more like maybe because I like go-karting and I think that it's less lame than taking a class. It's a lot funny, really. Corin! Corin! Holy shit! Corin, holy fucking shit! Thank you so much for the 10. What is happening? Corin, thank you so much. Chat, can you please like W's in chat for Corin? Corin, what is this? What? I appreciate you very much. Feliz Navidad, for real. Corin, thank you so much for that. And if you received a gifted one from Corin, please say thank you for the generosity. What the heck? Merry Christmas to you. Holy heck. Shit. We're here dealing with the... I think that I've lost also the other glasses, by the way. Parux! Parux, thank you for the 2 months with the Prime. Welcome back! Thank you for liking us for 1 more month. You tried it once, and then you were like, you know what? It was not too bad. Thank you for that. I appreciate you. Is there a link to the tier list? I just searched Date Ideas tier list. That's the one. Wait, I wanna find the glasses because my eyes are hurting. Wait, give me a second. By the way, I still haven't found the glasses, and I was thinking, am I gonna go get new glasses because I need them, and these ones are not good at all. Like I bought them from the internet so that they're like I use them like when when I need them, but otherwise they're like kind of hurting my eyes, because they're not like extremely centered, you know, like I think. So I wanna get new glasses. What if we go live while finding my new glasses? I don't know if the myopia I have, I don't know, like very little, but I think that I also should like update it. I think that I should also like once a year I should update it. I have no idea where I lost the others. I think maybe at the spa at the hot springs, but I always forget to call them, and they're always open from 9:30 till 1:30 only. Anyway, talking about like go-karting. I think a go-karting would go either cute or we can think about it. I don't hurt your eyes when you're thinking. Thank you, Corin. I appreciate you. Think cute. We can think about it. I think maybe cute because it's still like something fun. But also like, okay, let me tell you also this. Another reason why I'm scared of like going go-karting as a first date or something is like because I'm hella competitive. And if I lose, I'm gonna be so mad. And oh, Adiben. You don't go every time in a year, just one time? What do you mean? Adiben, thank you so much for the 2 months thank you so much for the 2 months. I appreciate you. Thank you for the gift. There's also a card for 2, but that's I would never let anyone drive for me. You know? I would never let anyone drive for me. You get angry when you lose when they say something funny and you laugh. Fair, true. But also like another thing is on go-karts, you have to wear like the helmet, right? And listen, this might be a little bit like stupid, okay? This might be a little bit stupid. But I feel like I'm scared of like looking bad with the helmet on. And I know that it should not be about like physical aspect, like all of that, but it's still like, you know, like I know that with a helmet I look dumb. I look like I don't know. So that will be a little bit like. But also, if I look bad, then they should not care, and if they care, that's bad, and that's a red flag. You look dumb even without a helmet. Okay, we're moving on. It's gonna get into cute. Okay. Like this exactly how it looked like that. How many times have people go karting in a year? I would say once every 3 years. Not even, because I've never went. So no. Thank you so much, by the way, for the hype train. I appreciate you for it. I really, really do. And it's a full helmet. They can't see my face. Fair. If you look bad and they stay, it's a proof of interest, so they gain points. Fair. I've never been. Maybe I've been once, actually. I think that I've been once, but it was like a lame go-kart place. I was thinking about going go-karting and doing it live, but it's difficult to like record while live. Anyway, water gun fight. Oh my god. Water gun fights? A go-kart place in Vicenza is really great. Really? F? Well, not on winter. Why? Really? Oh my god, you would not like it? I would love it. It's like going to Valentina. Valentina, thank you so much for the 4 months. I appreciate you. Appreciate you very, very much. Thank you for the 4 months. You're crazy! You are crazy! Corin, you're crazy! Corin, you're gone! Can someone please retain them? They're going crazy. Corin, thank you for the total of 20 today. What the heck? Chill! Someone get away the wallet from them. Hide the credit card, please. Corin, thank you so much for the 20. I appreciate you very much. That could be sexy. Fair. Someone stole Corin's wallet. Did someone steal your wallet? Shall we get alarmed? Shit. So water gun fight, I would love it. Oh! We got to 30. We got to the goal. Thank you for also helping us to get to the goal, Corin. I appreciate you. What am I doing tonight? I'm seeing my family. I like it. Water gun fight, I would like it. It's like taking me to airsoft. Like, I imagine like a little bit of like... Oh my god, really? You would not like it? You would not like it? I would like it. I think that would be like cute. I think they would go to cute for me. Because like I like airsoft, right? Or soft air. I don't remember which way you say it in English. But my family is from Verona, from my same no, not from Verona, they're from Treviso and from Padova, but they're all in Verona. Soft air, they say it in Italian, right? In English. The Oaks! Thank you so much for the 4 BDs. I appreciate you. Airsoft. Okay, airsoft. It's inconvenient because you're both wet after. Who's gonna explain it to Rico? Who is gonna explain that to Rico? Who is gonna explain it to Rico? Someone, anyone, please. Well, Rico is a baby. Fair. It's Christmas. Poor Rico. Oh shit. It's fine. It's fine. Anyway, skydiving. Next one is skydiving, chat. Holy fucking shit. You already know where I would put it. You already know where I would put it. Thank you, Godener. Figlio di Godener. Thank you. No, S. Fuck this shit. It's for fuck's sake. No. For fuck's sake. No. Don't take me skydiving. If you take me skydiving against my will, I'm never gonna talk to you ever again. I'm not jumping, and I'm never gonna talk to you ever again. I need it to be my own choice. I'm not gonna skydiving. Like, I imagine the guy be like, oh, let's go skydiving together. So we're gonna be giving each other strength. And I'm like, no, but I'm scared. But I will be there with you. I don't fucking care if you're gonna be there with me. I don't care. You know that, John? I don't care. Shit. No. Face your fears. Get fucked. Poor John. Stupid John. Set fire on the plane and only option is to jump out of the plane. Astro, I don't think so. We said date, not death. Exactly what I'm thinking about. What is happening? Okay. No. Metal detecting? Is that a date? Who's John? I don't know. It's the first name that came into my mind. I'm a strong woman. What does it mean? Metal detecting, like you go beep, 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 beep. Like walking and then you find stuff in the floor. And then you find a ring in the sand. Oh my god. Is that it? Could be really romantic. Going beep, beep, and then you find a tap of something. Beep, beep, and then you find like a piercing. Beep, beep, and then you find a mental, like a silver tooth or something. Oh my god. I'm gonna put like, oh my god, really? Just because it's not at the same level of like, for fuck's sake. It's very cute, really? What if you find a bomb? Oh my god. You Zoomers only think about the outcome. It's about the experience. Yeah, I know, but it's still like, you go like all day going beep, beep, beep. You just take a walk. Go for a walk. Metal detecting better than skydiving? Yes. Yes. That's what I'm saying. Bottle caps, cans. That's what I'm saying. Exactly, Mato. Going to a local sports game. Ooh, I would like this. I would like to go to I'm thinking more of like a basketball game. Not like a football game because they're boring. But imagine like you go to see the Celtics. It must be insane. Very beautiful to see. Not Please Marry Me, but I think that it's going to be like either cute or we can think about it. One of the two. Bowling date. I find it not so good since not many chances to talk. I think you can talk a lot during bowling dates. I like them. I think it's cute, but imagine like if you are with someone that is not too obsessed about it. If you are with someone that is not obsessed about it. So you go like watch a Celtics game. Like listen, I'm imagining it, right? I'm full on in my imagination. You have good seats. You have good seats, like very close to the field. And then you're sitting there, you're just chit-chatting, you're talking, and the person's like not like crazy about it. Like they explain a little bit of the things that are happening. I like it. Local sports. Wait, oh, true, local sports. Oh, this is local sports. Wait, this is local sports. So like, did he like not a cool team? So not that spectacular. Not that spectacular then. Hellas is not a cool team. Yeah, it's not but in general, football is not spectacular to go see. You know, nah. I think like this. If it's like, it's like, nah. I think that it's more like, it's okay. That's what I'm saying, like, eh. No, but no. I'm not talking about the prestige and reputation of the team. I'm talking about the spectacularity of the game. It's like watching a show. Oh, shut up, Coran. No, don't say that, Coran. Don't make yourself getting banned, please. Don't. Giorgio, arcade date is like going to sala giochi if you're Italian. No, but also like, first of all, I think like a football game in Italy, the stadium is not cool enough. Maybe the Juventus stadium, but I've never been there, and I wanna go check that out because you're closer. I think that for example in the UK maybe it's better because it's like more like there's a lot of like chaos or something like that, or at least that's how I'm imagining them. Cemetery during games, really? All right. But for example, I would love to go watch like a basketball game. I think that basketball game would be super cool. Maybe because I had a very, very good experience when I went to see the Celtics in Boston. And it was really, really cool. And I'm imagining like if I was with someone there, that would have been really, really cool. Content or content? Shut up. Taking a dance lesson. Oh my god. Taking a dance lesson. Oh my god. I have to tell you something, chat. I have to tell you something. I have to tell you something. So, I had two relationships that I consider like too long relationship, all right? And the one, like the very first one, which is not the one that broke me entirely, but the very first one, we, like at the end of the second year, we were falling apart. And I'm that kind of person that I don't like to lose people. So even if I knew that it would have been better like to close things with him, I tried my best to like fix us. Like that's what I do. I tried my best to fix us, and a way for us to get him fixed is like he liked dancing. He really liked dancing because he was like a dancer before, like a classical dancer. And I was I still am not very coordinated. So I signed us for a tango lesson. And it's not just, we had like it was like not a lesson, it was like a month of lessons, like no, maybe a little bit more. Like it was like, I don't remember how long we've been, like we went a lot of times to the tango lessons. So I know how to dance tango. And it was really bad. Because it was so bad because we were fighting over those things. Because he always wanted to be right and I always wanted to be right. But I was allowing myself to give, like, I was okay with accepting the fact that I was not right because I knew that I had no rhythm and I never did like professional dance, and he did. But he never tried to think that maybe it was his fault. So we were fighting because at the end, the fight was going into like, you cannot accept to not be right. You know, that was the fight. By Coste, that was it. Yeah. That's... So taking a dance lesson, I would say... Oh my god, really? Oh my god, really? I would say just, oh my god, really? Just that one. And there's nothing worse than for fuck's sake. The skydiving is way worse. Skydiving is way worse. No. Skydiving is better than Lance lesson? No. No. Yeah, no, it's not like, it was more like, oh, teacher says right, left, right. And he was going left, right, left. And I was like, the teacher said right, left, right. And no. I heard it. I know what it's right. No, but she just said it like, oh, no. You know? It's not like I was pretending to be right about dances in general. Just like what I heard. Like the teacher saying. And I was like, oh, okay, maybe you're right. And then I was right. And I was like, fuck, I told you. Anyway, it was a good situation. We ended things, fortunately. Anyway, aquarium date. Oh, this is cute. Aquarium date. In summer we can think about it, in winter, why? What you mean? There was the rest of a cookie at the end. I didn't expect it. Want a backyard camp with me? I'm not gonna go in a backyard of strangers. I think that this one is cute. The only reason why it is not please marry me, it's because like I don't understand aquariums and zoos. Actually, I think that it's more like we can think about it. Like it's a cute environment, but I don't understand aquariums and zoos. I understand the ones that are like saving animals and all of that. And like so, but at the same time, I don't know. I don't understand them. Like looking at, I find fishes stupid. I find fish stupid. I don't understand why people want to look at fishes. I've been to an aquarium here in Italy, I think. I've been to one in Seattle. But it's like, it's cool. They're cool to see. They're cool to watch. But yeah, that's what I'm saying. Seeing living animals in cages. There are some like zoos and aquariums that they keep them like for like salvaguardare, safeguard the species. I don't know if I'm saying right English, but I don't know. I think that it will be, we can think about it. Like it's okay. It's okay. It could be cooler, but it's okay. I'd like to do more something where it's more like active. You're doing more than just walking around. Yeah, that looked out for. I watched Twitch streamers that have played. Her mods are chat, both. DIY date. DIY date? I think it would be so cool. You're right. They should let tigers roam free in the zoo. Let them pick their lunch. Shut up! Shut up! DIY? I like it, F. DIY is like you're building something yourself with the other person. Like, for example, I built the little thing the other day. You remember when I built the book stopper? Fai da te. Or bricolage or anything like that. I think it's like doing a puzzle, but it's cooler than a puzzle. Do it yourself. Yeah, that's why it's DIY. Build an IKEA shelf together. I think that's cool. I like it. I like to build stuff. That's maybe why. I think I'm gonna put this one in cute. I like to do things. Like I like it to be like productive. I know it's crazy, alright? As you can notice, some things are more productive. They're not even. If you go to live with someone, it's cute to help each other doing that kind of stuff. Yeah, that's true. But it's not like a date. When you go live with someone, you're over with dates. But you should know, but you put up your shelves, I'll be doing something fun. No, but like DIY could be also like building that little thing that we built together the other day. I like to do IKEA. I like to build IKEA stuff. I had a fight once with a guy because he bought stuff like a furniture. And I was like, oh my god, can I help you out? I love to build furniture. I like to like go there like to do stuff. I love it. I generally love it so much. Can I help you out? And I went there And they kept like telling me what to do, where to do it, like in a specific way. And then I was like, bro, I can read the instructions myself. It's okay. I want to help you. I don't want to be like, I don't know. I want to also have fun. I'm not here. I don't know. It was. Yeah, like, you know, do this, do that. Like, yeah, I'm explaining everything. Like, I can see it. Like, so that's why I was like, every single time I was like, okay, you do that side, I do the other side. Lego Rocket with no, that's not it. It's not my playlist. It's like Spotify sending this playlist, I think. What is this playlist? It's like, it was one of the moody, one of these ones, you know? Right? That was so annoying. To a point that then I left to go get ice creams for the both of us because I was like, I need to get away from here. I have to go out. I need to get out. Anyway, drive-in movie. Have you ever been to a drive-in? I know that it's very common in the US, but it's not really common maybe anywhere else. Yeah. You've been? I've been to the US. I think what did I see there? I don't remember. I have a beautiful image about that drive-in because I was with my friend from the US. She's maybe coming in next summer, I think. I so want to go meet her. She's in Texas. I so want to go meet her. I was with her and her cousin, and we were like on the countryside of Seattle. Like, not countryside, but like we were like far away, like from Seattle. And we took her car, and like she was like 16, like, right? So her cousin was driving that was 1 year older than her, and it was 17. And for me, it was crazy. I was like 16 driving in a car with people. Like, that's crazy. We don't do that. Like, you don't have the age. I was like, oh my god, that's so weird. And we took the car and we went to the drive-in, and it was so cool. Like, they give you these little radios to put inside your car so you hear what they're saying. That's not illegal. That's not illegal in the US. If you spent enough time driving or something. And then I don't even remember. And I remember that I heard from the first time there this song, and you all know it. I heard this song, and while we were going with the sunset, imagine listening to this song for the first time ever. It was so cool. Oh my god, that was on that trip that I did in Seattle was generally like such a dream. I'm not. So imagine that. It was so cool. It was really cool. I don't think we have it in Verona. You can drive, but you can't drink. Yeah, Ahmed, exactly. So that was my first drive-in experience. And it was nice. You know that I don't really like too much like cinemas because I think that you're spending way too much money. But a drive-in, if it's in a cool place with like a pickup and the person arrange also like covers in the pickup, like in the back, and pillows and all of that, and like snacks. I think that can be cute. I think that can be like cute. How we did it was like, it was not a pickup, it was like a big, just you know, one of those vans, you know, like with one of those like 7 people things. And we opened the back and we put like a lot of pillows in the back, and we said the 3 of us back there. It was cute. Drive-in in Italy are usually during summer. We have them in Italy, but at least in my what are you missing? That one? We have them, but not with like cars. We have them like you walk in and you have like the sky over and you sit outside, but it's not like with a car. I don't know if you can still call them drive-in. I don't think that, no, that you don't drive, so they're not. As a pickup in the US, Sefo, in the US. Why is it making you feel sadder? Why, chat? It's okay. Like, you don't need to have a date. DIY, it's like building something. Kite flying. Kite flying. I would go for like. There is. Oh wait, I want to check on something. Aquiloni. So there is a city here in Italy that is called Ferrara that has this festival of the kites. How are they called? Kites. And they're super cool. Like the sky is really really cool. I don't know when is that. Wait, how do I see it? When is it? In April? In April. Shall we go? Shall we have a stream there? I think that would be really cool. Like the sky is, I remember I went there when I was little. The sky is filled with kites. Sky is filled with them. Let me, Notion.
Aquilone.
Good. Oh,
Sì, ma non so se si dica così.
kites. No?
No, secondo me è un altro nome.
Cioè, my mom says that aquilone, it's translated another way.
Adesso mi sfugge, ma lo sapevo.
Io penso si dica kites.
Sì?
Sì.
Ma perché avevo letto il venditore di aquiloni, il libro,
Ah?
ma era in inglese.
Eh?
Mi pareva un altro nome. Translate ti dice kite.
Sì. Kites.
Perché c'è il kite surf che è quello con il
Mhm.
surf. Oh, mi pareva un altro nome.
Okay. Anyway, translate says eagle. Eagle.
Oh, quello sbaglio.
This is what the kite runner, Mama. It's translated in English.
Ok, no, allora vabbè.
Never mind. Anyway, chat, let me add in the calendar that we're going to kite, kites, Ireland. No, we don't even need kites festival. They're saying happy birthday, mommy.
Come?
Yeah, happy Merry Christmas. Merry Christmas.
Happy Christmas to you all!
She's saying happy Merry Christmas to you all. Kites Festival. Yeah, but I would like to see it, but not for a date. Type IRL in. Oh, it's just. Let me put in April. So I will remember. There we go. I'm saying thank you. You can hear? Okay. Okay. Why Kites Festival? Isn't it like Kites Festival? No, like the festival of the kites? No? Anyway, I would put it like an oh my god, really? Because 10 subs to CG Mom? But you saw her sometimes in the cooking stream. She passes by. It doesn't belong to the kites? But it's not like the festival of kites. Wait, look at how many things we did in December. Anyway, where is it? Oh, here. So no, without the apostrophe. Okay. There we go, fixed. If she likes bungee jumping or no, she would not like them. Trust me, she doesn't like them either. So kite, I would put kites flying in here. Anyway, we have so many more. Let's go faster. Let's go fast. Couples massage. I would. Why? It's weird to go on a date with someone and directly get like a massage. I was like, like thank you, but why? Maybe a bit more like, maybe more like this. Why for kite flying and couple massages? Like weird. Sharing favorite songs. That's cute. That's something that I would do. Like it's not something special. It's cool, right? I'd rather have like sharing favorite songs while we're like in a car. You know, like while like it's not like a date. It's not like, oh, let's meet and just do something but it's not something normal. Yeah, exactly. It's like late night drive. Yeah, but that's another Disney movie night. It's okay. Like it's cute. It's cute. It's nothing special. It's not like Please Marry Me. It's not like something extremely cool. It's like, it's okay. It's cool. It's chill. Movie night, but with pillow forts, that's another thing. That's another thing, you know? That's something else. Not just watching a movie. It's okay. Pillow fort. Oh, there we go. If we put these two together, then we go for like these. Like, imagine these two together. If these two are together, like, I arrive at your place and we may like you have pillows on the side, says like, oh, now we're gonna build a pillow fort, and then you already have, or like maybe you already made it, and we just have to go inside the pillow fort and we just stay in there with like blankets and watching a movie. That's super cute. So imagine these two together. Right? Let's just put it like this. Wait, like this. So if someone joins in, they don't think like that they will know a pillow fort. Mass murder? Why? Already made it though? Oh, that sounds cute. Oh, already made. Maybe with also like little lights. Oh yeah, pajama party. Stargazing? Oh my god. Yes. Please marry me. Yes. Like if... Yeah, stargazing, please marry me, 100%. Like, I get there and we're in a field, there is already, like, the little thingy ready. There's, like, pillows under, just so you can sit there, like, a little bit of munchies. And especially if you can tell me where the stars are, where are those things, and blah, blah. Oh my god, that's so pretty. That's so pretty. That's so, so nice. So, so nice. Cooking competition. Cooking competition. I think it's like we can think about it. Cooking competitions, like we can think about it. Not for me? What do you mean not for me? I think that maybe more like I don't know, because it's if someone offers as a date, first date, like second date, we're gonna compete in cooking. I'm not gonna show you that I'm better than you. Like, all right, bro, just. You won. There you go. Like, you know, it's like, I don't know. If he's not too competitive, that's okay. Another plus if he has a telescope but melt. Yes, I agree. You can also start gaze after backyard camping in a pillow fort. Oh, yeah. Cooking together is fun, but not competing, I think. You know? Geocaching? What is geocaching? Geocaching? What is this? What is geocaching? What is geocaching, chat? Oh, you have to find a... Wait, like Cazzo al Tesoro? Oh, like a treasure trail. Oh, then it's cool. That is cool. This is cool. If someone organizes this one, it would be so cool. Like, if they're... here, I think. It would be so cool. Like... The thought that they put behind it would be very cool also. If it's well made. I think it's cute. In real life? Yeah, in real life. Like you walk to places. Trying to break world records. For fuck's sake. Why? Okay, today you know what I have planned for tonight? Tonight, I'm gonna make you go crazy. Tonight is gonna be a night to remember. You know what I bought for us? I bought 62 toilet seats that we're gonna try to break on our head in the fastest time possible so then we can get into the world record. Bruh. Why? Why? How many subs did we on stream? Shut up. Playing pool? Oh, playing pool. I like it. It's cute. It got me feeling some type of way. Shut up, Sammy. Some of these answers are not dates anyway. Yeah. A quarantine visit to the emergency room. Yeah. I think playing pool would be cute. Playing pool, it's cute. Paintball, it's... I mean, I could destroy you. It's not like... I think that these are things that I've never done or like that I've done and I loved it. So that's why they're here, like arcade date. But these ones are really, really cute. And maybe these are like... Maybe like this. I think the arcade date, I love it. But it's not like please marry me to a point... You know, like, you know. I like these ones because I've never done it. And if this person offers them and I've never done it, I will be like, oh my god, it's so cool. Why you want to destroy? I don't want to destroy them. Well, I would destroy them with paintball. Paintball sounds super cool, yeah. Laser tag goes all the way there too. Maybe more. Maybe a little bit more. Laser tag would be super cool. Also because usually like when the last time that I played laser tag I was with also friends and there were also kids playing. I destroyed those kids. I destroyed those kids. Berry picking? I mean it's fun, but... Laser tag like Barney Stinson? Exactly, Muchi. And she is Robin? Yeah. It's not fun, it's a job. Yeah, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you have to keep, like, bending to get them. Oh my god, such a pain. Going to an open mic night. It could be fun. It's okay. It's okay, nothing crazy. Do you like open mics? If there is no cringing situation, nah. But, oh, wait. It depends. It depends. If it's open mic and they read poems... No, open mics is like there's a microphone and people go up there. And usually there's either a team, like games, like, sorry, jokes. And so there's people that go there for open mics and they tell their jokes. Or like they go there and they say poems. If it's poetry... If it's poetry, I'm gonna... No. If it's comedy, then yes. If it's poetry, yeah. So I'm gonna just put it like into why. No poems, I don't like them. I really don't like them. Unless they're made by someone that actually like is actually good, but I cringe way too often. Like if there's out of 100 poems, I would cringe at 99.5. You know? You never heard open mics about poems? I've been to one and I wanted to run away. Half a poem is safe. I know. RC car racing. Like, do I join the car race? Do I drive the car race here? Is this one like you watch them? What does RC mean? You don't? Oh. Remote control? Wait, what? Oh, remote control car racing, and you control them? Then it's cool. Like, if you control them, then it's cool. I don't know, maybe it's because something that I've never done, but I think it's cute. I think it's cute. Yeah, Butella. That sounds cute. Cute is too much. I like it. I think it would be cute. Because people, you have to understand that the less I've done them, the better, like, the more I like them, I think, you know? It's not like, eh. Going to Target. Why? It's not a date. Unless you make it a date. Unless you make it like a joke. I saw like a joke. I saw like a game that you can do like on a date with someone. That is like, you go to Target or like to a big mall with someone. And you like, you give each other like, what was it? It was like something that they would like to eat. Something that you buy like something that they would like, the other person would like to eat. Something for the other person to stay cozy. Something that, like a gift or like something dear. Going to Target, what does it mean? Lorenzo, Target is like a shopping mall. Like it's a big supermarket with everything in it. And they have, if there is like a joke, like a game behind it, maybe. If there's like a game, yes. If it's just like walking around and looking at stuff to be bought, no. You know? Why is too much? No, I think that if there is a game, I think it's okay. If there is a game behind it, I think it's okay. Coffee shop date. I like it. I think that it's cute. It's okay. Like, it's not... It's cute. It's cute. Especially if it's like a new coffee shop. Those are young people dates? What kind of coffee shop? Shut up. Midnight drive? Oh my god, I love it. Maybe not Please Marry Me because it's a red flag. Because it's the fine time for you only at midnight, it's a red flag. But I really, really like them. I really like to drive in a car. Like, either drive or be drove in a car while listening to music and talking about stuff. I think that it's really cool. Every date is nice if you're with the right person. Yeah, but for example, skydiving, even if you are with the person that you love, it's still shit. Is it a date though? Yeah, I find it cute. Imagine if you're hanging out before and then you go for a drive then. Yeah, that's also cute. I like it. I still put it like in the cute. Yoga, for God's sake. Oh my god, really? No, for fuck's sake. For fuck's sake. Why do you want to watch me in my yoga pants? No. 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 Am I actually dating someone? I'm not dating anyone. What has been your actual best date? So far, I've been the one in the arcade date. So far, I've been the arcade date. You didn't think about that? It's not working out. I'm dating myself. I'm dating chat. No, please. It would be the most toxic relationship ever if I'm dating you. You know, like... You annoy me. You keep saying that I scam you. You keep telling me that I'm late. That would be the worst. We are as toxic as you are. Shut up. Plus you are my own reflection, right? We are a reflection of the streamer. That's the point. That's what I'm saying. I cannot, like, I don't want to date myself. I don't. Plus, exactly, if you're my own reflection, you have issues, chat. You have issues. I don't... You make me go on the freaking things. Don't drag us down to your level. Watching YouTube. I think that it's okay. It's like watching a movie. We don't have any issues. Well, board game date. It can be like, we can think about it. It's no, you don't agree with that. But like watching YouTube, like I'm thinking watching YouTube, like you both are like on the sofa and you're watching YouTube together. It's okay. They can also be very boring, I agree, but they could be cool. I think that it's the same level of like, you know, aquarium day, sharing favorite love song. They're all like, everything that it's here is more like, okay. You know, it's like, no, great. You're not getting points and you're not losing points. Trying some new foods. Oh my god, yes. Oh my, maybe marry me. Maybe marry me. Like if you're like, oh, there's this new place that's selling Thai, Korean food mixed together. Baby, yes. 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 Okay. Okay. Donating blood together. It's something very honorable. But at the same time, why? It's honorable, but not for a date, yeah. We can train her? Yes. You cannot donate blood? Oh, we got that. Thank you for realizing it now. Twitch, yes, we got to the goal. Yes. Yeah, could be dangerous, yeah. Visiting an antique shop. Nah. Like, why? I don't see the point of like strolling around places where like you're supposed to buy stuff without buying anything. Like, why? My first date was picnic in the park, dinner plus going to watch Phantom of the Opera. That sounds beautiful. Yeah, but after you walk through the shop once or twice, then it's done, and then what do you do? I don't know. Maybe because like I'm not interested in antiques. You know, like maybe that if you are interested in like antique stuff, yeah. Art museum, I like it. I think maybe more like a cute one. Maybe it's cute. I think it's cute. You comment on the stuff you saw and judge it. I think this could be cute. Factory tour. A factory of what? If it's a factory of chocolate? Maybe. But if it's like a factory, I think that this one depends. Like if it's something you like. CERN. It's lovely. No, it's not fun. We can think about it. It's more like maybe we can think about it. It could be cool, you know, like it could be interesting. You're doing something, and especially like if they can show you around, it could be interesting. You know, like if it's like shut up. What if like they work in a specific factory and they're gonna show you everything about it? I think that's cool. It could be cool. Going to local fundraiser event. Oh no, I think that local fundraiser events in general, like charity events, if I'm thinking about like a dinner, they're just to show off. I don't like them. You can do charity without going to an event. Unless, like gala events for charity, I find them stupid. Unless it's like to share like awareness. If you're going there to share awareness, but it doesn't have to be a gala. You know, like I don't think that it needs to be a gala to share awareness. Like, imagine doing like a gala about poverty in the world, and then it's a gala with people wearing very cool dresses and like eating shit, like super cool shit. Like, what? What's the point? And then there's like I remember that I was raising these points to someone, like when they do like those fancy charity events. And that's yeah, but we raise so much money during those because we invite very, very cool people that have a lot of money, and in the end we get so much money. Why aren't they just donating without the event? Why do they need a fancy dinner to donate? The fuck? I don't know. I don't like. That's why I don't like them. Geocaching is cute. Yes, we said it's cute. Because it's all about power and showing off. Yes, that's the point. A little charity market with babies selling lemonades. That's cute. That is cute. That is cute. That is actually cute, Butella. Go foraging for plants and berries. What the... Why? I mean... No. 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 Finding yard sales. This could be fun. Painting each other. What the fuck? What the fuck? Between cute and please marry me is like you do it like I'm on it. Oh my god. And the other one is like, oh my god, that's so cute, that's so sweet. Like body paint, like what the fuck? Buying and planting seeds around town. Around town? Would be weird, wouldn't it? You French horse. It's probably illegal. Right? I don't know if it's... I mean... It could be cute. I think we can think about it because I think what is the cutest thing here is like if you drive, like months pass by and you drive by that place and you see the plant that is growing. That's cute. Is paintball and body paint different if you suck? We can think about it. Going to an old cemetery. For fuck's sake. Even if you wanted like... Okay, if you bring someone to an old cemetery, you're either very weird and you want to kill them all, or you're just pretending to be weird and you want to just play with that like, oh my god, I'm such Wednesday Addams. Oh my god. No. Hi, Betty. Patty, ciao. Ciao, did you sleep well? She was sleeping on my bed the entire morning. Did you sleep well? Oh, they're meowing at you. Oh, you just work their night shift? Why are you showing them your butt? Why are you showing them your butt? Stop showing your butt. Good morning. Lego date. I think that we can think about it. It's okay. It's like puzzle. Why? In old cemetery could be architectural stuff. I didn't think about it like that, actually. Like if you go like to the French cemetery, there is like one in Paris that it's known, but still not as a date. You know, like you can go like to visit, but not. I have to finish Angst Rocket. Yeah, I know. Zip lining. This could be cute. This could be cute. Un cimitero. Kanka. Bowling, I think it's cute. Horseback riding. I think it's cute. I would like to put like on Please Marry Me, but zip lining, it's okay. It's like you go zoom. Horse riding is not easy. It's okay. We can learn. Amusement park. It's cute. Rock climbing. It's cute. Doing a thing you're both bad at. It depends. Like what? What's the thing? What's the thing though? I'm so good at everything. I'm just kidding. Shut up. Maybe. What could it be? What could it be? Something that you're bad at, chat? Memory. This. Oh my god! I need new glasses. Fuck! I need glasses. Oh my god. I'm so sad I lost the others. I have no idea where they are. I'm so sad. I want the same glasses. What if you're bad at Rico? Those were really good glasses. I'm so sad about that. Remember to call them first. If you had the glasses you lost, you might be able to find them. Yeah, I know. Oh, Butala, just listen to us. I'm gonna be talking, alright? Just use us as a podcast and just close your eyes. Anyway, doing a thing you're both bad at. I think we can think about it. Renting a sports car? Oh, hell yeah. Hell yeah. Playing pinball. Why? Compass and map date. What is a compass and map date? What is compass and map day? Going to a forest and exploring? Like a renting? Could be cute. Power outage date night? I think it's cute. You stay there and you just have to find out something to do together. Adult kids party. What is adult kids party? What is it? Is that a kink? What is adult kids party? Bouncy castle, ball pit. I think it's like a Y, like kind of like a red flag. Could be fun if the person is fun, but still like. Or if there's also other people, then it's a no. Then there's also someone else, then it's a no. Making a homemade piñata. I've never done it. Could be fun. Fossil hunting. How do you go fossil hunting? I mean, if they know exactly what they're doing, we can think about it. Said the girl that went for carousel yesterday. Shut up. Create a new dessert together. A new dessert? Creating something new? Why do you want us to fight? Why do you want us to break up? Why do you want us to break up? Something new? What the fuck? Something, I don't know. No? A new dessert like pineapple pizza? Shut up. Making a sidewalk chalk art. For fuck's sake. Fuck. Doing science experience? Oh, hell yes. Hell yes. Hell yes. Yes. Yes, yes. Yes, yes, yes. Yes, yes. Mm-mm-mm. Mm-mm-mm-mm-mm. Yes, 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 yes. 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 Yes, I'd love it. I'd love it. Science isn't as glamorous as you think. Yeah, no, but imagine imagine being with someone that knows about science, right? And you go to their labs and they show you like little things where you put like a drop of something and then that thing comes out. And if you do that other thing, it turns out another color. I think it could be fun. We could watch your VODs on Twitch. What? As a date? Completing list of missions. What? Going to an open house. If we need it. If I need it and you're coming with me, no, maybe not. Maybe not. Visit historical spots. We can think about it. It's fine. I don't. Sculpting date. That's cute. Sculpting date. It's cute. Who goes on a date to an open house? Yeah, but imagine like you saying like, oh, I have to go to this open house, and you just bring them along and you pretend that you want to buy the house, but you don't really care. Maybe it's a super super fancy house, you know? No, not those ones, not those ones. But imagine like you go to like you know that there's like an open house to a very expensive house, and you go there and you dress up as if you were very fancy and very rich. You're gonna be like, oh my god, that's so small. This 400 square meters closet is way too small. It would never fit all of my Pradas. This is insane. Oh my god. Baby, what do you think? Babe, what do you think? Is this gonna be good enough for your golf club friends? I think that would be fun. That would be so fun. I'd love it. I'd love it. I think that it would be fun. So that's why it's in... where did I put it? Where did I put it? Where did I put it? Oh. Cute. Nope. Why? Like, we can think about it. Flea market. I don't like to go shopping for, like, as... If there is not a purpose, I don't like going shopping. Flea market is like Mercatino dell'Usato. Second-hand shop. Second-hand, like, market. Getting lost on purpose. Why? Like, if it's like walking around a city that you don't know and just getting lost and just trying to find the way back. I don't know. So you can make small talk, but you can invent a double life and maintain it all the way through the open house tour. Yeah, but just for fun. It's just a game, you know? Then you're like, you know each other a little. Going to an auction. No. Going to a town hall meeting. Where did it go? Oh, no. Where did it go? Where's the... Oh, here. I think it's like... No, the auction is not like an open house. Because in the auction, if you raise your hand, you have to buy it. In the auction, if you raise your hand, you have to buy it. You're actually saying, like, I'm gonna... Like, you are obliged to give that money if you raise your hand. Legal graffiti. Could be something. Learning an instrument together. I don't like it. Getting lost together on purpose could be so romantic. Fair. Making a time capsule. Oh, it's someone you just met? Or someone that you just met? Oh my god, really? It's a very long day. Buying and making a craft. Oh, it's a DIY? Yeah, I like it. I think it's cute. Tero. Oh, yeah. Boating, I think it's cute. If you have a boat, hit me up. Joking. Going to a play, we can think about it. If it's a nice play, we can think about it. Watching the sunset. It's cute. Nothing crazy, it's cute. Peri. Ciao, Peri. Ciao, Peri. I once had like a date that was not a date at all because it was with a friend of mine that is like Joffrey, you know him? He came to Italy and we realized one night that we had like a date, like something that looked like a date, and we were both puking because he wanted to see the sunset, and we also wanted to eat sushi. So what we did is like we bought sushi and we went to like a spot where I brought you once, you know, on the castle on top of Verona. We went all the way there with sushi and we ate sushi while watching sunset. And then after a while we looked at each other like, bro, what the fuck? You have a yacht? Okay, Lorenzo, that's getting comfortable. Pera, why are you on a box? Why are you sitting on a box? Why are you sitting on the... No, don't eat the box. Oh, if you search for a date tier list, then you find it. Date idea tier list, this one, you find it. Then, giving them a tour of your favorite spot. I like it. I like it. Zoo? No, I don't like zoos. I really don't like zoos. Road trip? Yes. I like it. I think that they're cute. You spend the time in the car, driving around, and just, you know, creating memories and stopping to places. I like road trips. I really like them. Aquarium at least looks like the colors looks good. And fishes, I don't think that they realize they're in a freaking tank. Or like, I don't know. And usually aquariums looks better than zoos. Zoos just makes me sad. Escape room. This could be... I want to do this. I want to go to escape room. I was thinking about doing a IRL in IRL. I should stop saying IRL in Italian way. IRL in an escape room. I think that would be fun. Ice skating? Ice skating? Ice skating, I told you, could be cute. But not really. Like, we can think about it. I don't... Nah. Going hunting. Why? I would feel so bad. I will feel so bad. Hot air balloon. I'm scared. I'm fucking scared. Like, but I mean, if they arrange it, to like they create all the food on it, and then you go there and you drink also something on it, that could be cute. Paint pottery, it's cute. National park, I think it could be really cute. There are some very good national parks around. Hot cocoa and s'mores. S'mores? What is s'mores? Where did you go? Wait, Daddy, where are you going? Where are you going? Come here. Come here. No. Oh. Okay. Tree is still alive. If it has cute, no, it's cute, yeah. American marshmallow thing? Hot cocoa and s'mores? That can be cute. Like it's chill. Making bucket lists. Netflix and chill, bruh. If you... Oh, do you want to come watch my place and do some Netflix and chill? Bro, get fucked. I understand the idea of, like, chilling, but you can... An update? Yes. Please. Yes. 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 Do you want to come over here and nap a little? I love that. So then I'm spending time with you, but I'm also sleeping, so I'm getting the rest that I need. Yes, an update. Yes. Yes. Going jogging together, we can think about it. Going on a walk, I don't like it. Do you want to go for a walk? Boring. People watching? Get fucked. What is that? Volunteering? Yes. I'd love that. I'd love that. Every time I wanna like every time I wanna spend like Christmas, like this Christmas, like every year, I say that I wanna go volunteer during Christmas night, so tonight. But every time I never do it on time. I never sign up on time because in Verona you have to sign up or something. Like this year I was like, oh, I'm not gonna go because I'm gonna go to my sister's boyfriend's family. In the end, we're not going anymore, and I could have signed up for that, but no. No. Like watching people go about the word, I don't. Gaming date? Oh, hell yeah. Cute. Mini golfing? We can think about it. Botanical garden? Yes. I think it's really cute. Really, really cute. Like the one that we went to in Trento was really, really cool. Going to a comedy show. I think it's cute. Could be fun. Maybe it's more like we can think about it. Art fair. Like, you know, those people that think that they're artists. It's just bullshit. No one just has the gut to tell them this sucks. Drone flying. Drone flying. We can think about it. What is it? An art fair? Art fair? Una fiera dell'arte. So it's like, there's people showing their art. Thrift shop, yes. I think it would be cute. If not, like, please marry me, baby. Cute. No, what did I do? Botanical garden. No, wait, where did it go? Thrift shop is right there. Drone flying is cool, not an ad for your work at all. Trivia night, it's a cool idea. Seeing a local band, we can think about it. It could be cute. Could be cute. If it's music that I like, it could be cute. Renting motorized scooters, could be cute. Could be cute. Yeah, it depends on the band, right? Did I drink water? Not really. I should get something. Visiting tourist spots? Oh, no, please. Maybe it's more like for fuck's sakes. Archery? Archery could be good. Archery could be fun. Doing coloring books. Together? Oh my god, together you stay there and you color books? That's cute. Going to a car show. Puzzle. I don't like puzzles too much. Origami. Badminton. Like playing badminton together. Oh my god, Pera. Playing badminton together. We can think about it. What do you mean? What did I say? Puzzle? Puzzles are amazing. Sorry, Rico. Puzzles are amazing. Puzzles are so beautiful. Listen to a podcast together. As a date? As a date? No. Picnic date. Picnic date? Yes, I would like it. Food. Who said puzzle? No one. Food. Bird watching. Bird watching. I can find that metal concert as a date. Why? Hiking. It could be cute. Could be cute. You listen to podcasts too per? Oh my god. House cleaning? Well, it depends. Like, this one is like, if you are like together, if you have been together like for years and you live together, I feel like house cleaning would be nice. Like, it's chilling. You just put on both cool music that you both like, and you start cleaning the house together. You give without fighting. But only if you know each other. Like, imagine like, no, I think that it would be cute. I find it cute. But because it's something that maybe because in my past I was the only one cleaning, so maybe thinking about doing it with someone else that is also cleaning, that would be cool. You know, like that would be like if someone else is also enjoying, that would be That would be fun. I was cleaning, I would say like, we can think about it. A date, I'm saying a date like this only if you've been together for years and if you have the same house. Imagine, yeah, I'm thinking like more of like a very datey kind of situation where you're like one is cleaning dishes, the other one passes from the back, gives a little kiss, and they keep walking. Oh my god, I wanna die. Doing each other's makeup. What? There's no makeup, but if it's like skincare, imagine this one without saying makeup but saying skincare, okay? This one saying skincare. I'd like to do like skincare to each other. Like I like it. I like doing it. Making collage, no. Scavenger hunt. Wasn't it like the one that we said before? If they organize it, yeah, maybe. Solving riddles. Blech. Trampoline park. Why? Why? Women are weird? Yeah, man. You have no idea how weird men are, though. You generally have no idea. Shit. We done. This is our idea of dates. So, for sure, skydiving, kill me. But top, we have these. Am I just gonna do them by myself, to be honest? 2023 could be the day where I do these by myself. Oh, sorry, that didn't work. I don't know why. Let me see if I can make it work. Oh, I didn't log in. Oh, I didn't log in. That's why. Wait a second. Sorry, give me a second. What is an update? You go there and you nap, Arya. That would be so fucking good. Yeah, imagine if you know each other for like a little bit already. I've actually been doing it, I think, without calling it an update. You just go to someone's place that you stay there and you say, oh, we're gonna watch a movie, but instead you fall asleep in 2 seconds and just nap. You do it all the time, I told you. Come on! Give us the joke! I'm sorry. It is it's not giving us that jokes. I'm sorry about that. It's fine, Galen. If you wanna go to one of those, go for it. I'm not watching story time stream. I think this is maybe we can do, you know, maybe as a 2023. Let me snip it. As 2023 resolution is like doing one of these, putting these in my bucket list, and do IRL with these. So you're forcing me to do stuff by myself and not needing anyone. Fuck these bitches. Oh, cancel. Copy. I'm gonna put it in Notion. Where can I put it? Let me add it as activities as a new date. Ideas. Okay. Plus no snowboarding. Too much activity, I just want food. Yes. But each one of them includes food, to be honest, Daddy. Like backyard camping with food. Field fort with food. Stargazing with food. Arcade date, you eat chips or fries. Laser tag before or after you have a burger. Trying some new foods. Yes. Renting a sports car, you have to eat food, you know. Doing science experiments with food. Nap day before you have to eat before going on a nap, and when you wake up they show up with food. Volunteering, you eat food. And same for picnic date. Is some better now? Yes, I know. Oh my god. I'm so tired today. Holy guacamole. Ay. I'm getting old, chat. What time is it? It's 3 p.m. I didn't have lunch. I had a late breakfast, but I didn't have lunch. Now that I think about it. And I know and I know. Wait. Oh wait. A friend of mine from Argentina just asked me, how much do you tip waiters in Italy? How much do you usually tip in a restaurant? I had to tell them we don't. Like if you do, it's like because they were exceptionally good, you know. And that's the real way of like tipping. I think you tip like tipping in a. No, you don't. We don't, JJ. We don't. It's not like. It's not like in the US. They're getting paid what they're getting paid. Like they're getting paid still not enough, but we never used to in the UK, but now it's a thing. Oh, and we do zero. We tip them zero. We tip them only if they were like good. Like if they were exceptionally good, you know? It's a culture of hospitality. It's more like they're getting paid. It's not like in the US. In the US, they're doing like they are not getting enough money at all. Like zero. Like if you don't tip them, they don't have money. Here, what you give them is more than what. It's already good. It's because salary in Italy sucks, but. Some restaurants in the US also take service tips. Wait, because the tips that you give, like I find it okay. Listen, something that I found every single time when I went to two times that I went to the US, 3 times that I went to the US, I find it extremely stupid. You know, when you go to a place, all right, and you order something, just say, "What do you need? I need that bagel." They give you the bagel. That's it, and they ask you to pay, and they ask you for the tip. What am I tipping you for? You just gave me the bagel. You didn't even talk to me. You didn't say. I don't see the point. In Italy, we give tips if you were like, oh my god, this person is extremely, like, super nice. Thank you so much for what you did, for how you treated me today. It made a difference. There you go. You know, like, I don't know. Because then you would have to tip everyone. Do you tip in the shops in the US? Do you tip the sales assistant? No. For them, most of the money is from tips. Yes, I know, but from us, it's not. Okay, Deliveroo drivers, yeah. Okay, yeah, like pizza, like delivery drivers in general, yes, we tip them. Only restaurants. So then, why am I tipping a waiter and I'm not tipping a shop assistant that maybe help me out to pick up something? I don't know. Tips are basically just a way to make sure that waiter isn't crap. But that's the point. Like, you should not be crap, otherwise you should not be having the job. If you are crap, you don't have the job. If you are good, you get the tip. Like, if you're exceptionally good, you have the tip. It's just illogical for me. Because one gives you food. The other one gives you, like, maybe you were there, like, oh, I don't know what to get to my sister. Can you help me out? And they just tell you what to do. But why tip a delivery driver and not someone in a shop? That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Then we should tip everyone. Still, it's not food. What about it? What about it? So they don't spit in your plate? You give a tip at the shop. I usually tip, like, my nail person. Like, I tip them a couple of times because they stayed up, like, until late. Because it took them a little bit longer. So, like, I tipped them. Because I realized that it was late. And I was like, thank you so much for staying here for me. Or, like, early in the morning, thank you for being here early in the morning. Julie, get water. Get water. A lot of water. Get a little bit of rest if you can. No screen. And if you like it, coffee usually helps me with my headache. Rubbing food against the lower parts. I should tip my hairdresser. She's the nicest and I make around their prices. Yeah, that also makes sense. $2 per hour that should be illegal. That is what should be illegal. They should just raise the wages and just remove the tips, because then you have to. What if I go to a place and I use as my politics to never get tips to anyone? And or like I go work in a place that is shit because it's near my place, so no one can give me big tips. That doesn't make sense. Thank you, Just Calvo. Thank you. Merry Christmas to you. Gets paid 20 euros an hour? That's good. That's really good. You have a personal assistant? You were paid 2.7. Oh my god, that's insane. That is insane. Chat, I have to be honest, I'm getting a little bit of headache. And I think that I'm hungry. I think that it's mostly because I'm hungry. I don't have a personal assistant. Scalvo! Joe! G's an update. You wanna be my personal assistant? Joe Scalvo, thank you so much for the 5 months for the Prime. I appreciate you. I appreciate you so much. And it's fine. It's fine. You don't have to sub. I appreciate you for it. Chat, I'm getting a little bit of headache. I need food. What if we watch some videos so then I can get some food in the meantime? Would that be okay? What is this ad? What the fuck is this ad? Thank God you didn't see it. Thank God you didn't see it. With rosemary, baked potato, molten butter, and roasted aubergine and tomato. Oh, I wish. Stop making me hungry. I don't even know what there is in the refrigerator. What do we want to watch? I'm way too big. What do we want to watch? Maybe I should go here, but maybe making my camera a little bit smaller. Oh, I know what I want to watch with you. I know what I want to watch with you. You're not gonna like it. No, I'm not ending the stream. I know what I want to watch with you. Oh, I want to watch this video. But I also want food. Let me see if there's a video that I've already seen that I feel like you should need. Oh! Another ad? You enjoying this? What do you mean you're not enjoying this? I watched it this morning. I didn't know how I felt about it, so I wanted to know how you feel about it. I don't know who's a Maloro. I'm eating rice in a glass. And again, it's not a glass, it's a Tupperware. Fun fact, I'm not even hearing this. Because I already heard it this morning, so. Video's still going, Ashkelon. Bitchy, I'm forcing the chat to listen to stuff about relationships. And how you never like the videos that I show you? No. Dino, I'm not. I'm very much not. Me. Oh shit. It's almost over. Chat, we can also not like content, but I wanted just to know what you think about it. Content can also not, we can also not agree with content. When I show you videos, not because I like them only, you know? There's no subtitles. I already tried. Wait, I need water. I need water. Yo que no sé cuánto to be alone. Yeah. Chad, you're a very big complainer, Chad, huh? Eh. You know what you like? You like very few things. Jalfor, you don't agree? Not even with this one? This is exactly what you always tell me. There's no right person. I agree. That's why it's saying it's love and hard work. Stop plugging you in your same video. I mean, that's what I'm always saying. Like, chat, videos that we watch, we can also not agree, but I agree with like watching things that we don't like. It's a way to get out of our bubble. But it's not hard work. That whole mentality is wrong from this. I think that it's also work. This one was too cringe. Why hurting yourself things that you don't like? Because you need to watch them in order to get away from your bubble. Otherwise, if you watch only things that you like, you will never have anything that is gonna go against your own thoughts. And you're always gonna just eradicate just have your thoughts over and over and over again and repeat it, and you will think that your truth is the truth. But the concept of work is so charged in a specific way. It's different. What's on my head? What is on my head? Oh, a piece of note tape. Yeah, I fixed it. I don't think that this was actual bad content. Like, it is a different point. Anyway. It looked like a flower. It looked like a crust. Like a crust for me. What I wanted to watch with you is... where is it again? We saw it. I saw it. Where is it? There is it. What's his name? What is the one that I saw? Like... the one about the automatic house. Wait, let me find the guy. So things that I also want to watch with you are like videos by Ethan Evans. Him is really cool. It's not a big YouTuber, but he's big still. He does interview answers, real time interview. He does this kind of content. I really really like him, and he's known by also Devin Nash, who's also another streamer that I YouTuber that I like. I've never watched a video like this, but it wasn't that bad. I agree. The actual content was fine. Chat does like to complain. You're right. Are you telling me that I'm right just to tell me that I'm right? That's our deal. I know you do. And that's okay to complain. That coughing. But I wanted to watch, what's his name? Chat, you definitely know him. As soon as I pull it up, you're gonna be like, oh yeah, there we go.
Wow.
Mi chiudi la porta. Ah no, vai fuori. Okay. Him. I wanted to watch the one that was saying about the automatic things that he used in his house. Where is that? This one, Smart Tech Home. I'd love it. You already know that I would love to have like a smart house. My future is definitely gonna be like with a smart house. You have some videos, so just send it to me, Julie. Let's see. Like, if I'm paying that much for a house, I need a house that when I do this, it turns up the light. When I do that, it turns down the blinkers. I need it to be extremely tech. Oh, it looks sick. Oh, I know them, Julie. Yeah, exactly, Jake. Oh! Imagine. Imagine. Yeah? Mm-hmm. Oh. Hmm. 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 What is that thing? Mm. Mm. Oh, I liked it. Oh. Ooh. Ooh. Oh, that's actually very helpful. B Turner 50? Really, do you know? Can you DM it to me? Yeah, but then it's easy also to steal it. Exactly. Plus, it's a pain to have it to recharge it. Like, you have to charge it. Like, when you charging it, what if someone rings at your door? What happens? They look cool. They look very cool, though. Aesthetically cool. You charge it once a month? That's a pain. I would forget. Oh, yeah, I want a smart lock. For sure, I want a smart lock. And I also would like it to be like with my fingerprints. Maybe that's not too secure. Oh! These are so cool. Why is a smart lock better than a key? Because if you forget the keys, you will not forget the code, you know? I'm not interested in cybersecurity, I think. Oh! Yes. Yeah, you know that there's like those things, dimension forget the passcode. Then you will have other problems, not just the passcode, you know? Anyway, I think that another thing that would be really cool to have like switches around the room. That if you have like, I'm thinking like, you know, there's like a little thingy that does like this, like a mechanical one that is activated, like you can activate it from wherever. It does just like this, so like this. So then if you put it next to a switch, it does it for you. That would be so cool to implement into a house. Mm-hmm. Spid? Oh, really? PS5 looking fresh. It's actually cool. Mm-hmm. Hi G? Huh? My day is hi. No, he knows me, sub G. That's actually cool. So no. You know what we can search for, chat? I wanna find a video about like smart house, like the smartest house. Like I wanna like smart house 3D animation. I don't know how fully automated. Do you know a video that's cool about this? My friend built a completely smart house. Really? Big for a PSP player? Oh shit. This is something that interests me so much. Inside a custom Colorado smart home. Okay, I like this one. I want to see a cool house. I want to get envy. I want to feel so much envy. Look at this. Wait, why is the quality so shit? Auto? Like, give me higher quality. That's a higher? Can you give me higher while streaming? Go for it. Oh my god. Ooh! Oh my god, this house! You don't understand the desire. It's not a desire for envy. It's just like I want to see them. It's not a desire for envy. It's like I want to see this house. This looks so good. We can recreate it on The Sims. Looks awful. I love it. I love judging houses. Same. I love this. This is my style. This is my style of house. Look at that. Look at the view of the living room. I love these huge windows. And Minecraft, maybe in The Sims. Is that kind of house because it's all blocks? I love it. There are some things that I don't like too much. I want to see how smart it is. Next format, the house tier list. 4. Only for bedrooms, and it's 18 millions. Okay, this one must be a pain. Imagine you have gloves on. More bathrooms than bedrooms, but that makes sense, right? I feel like a traitor is saying that this, but Minecraft is better for building than the... Arya! Arya! What the fuck? Why are you saying that? Arya, what? Wait, let me put something in charge. Oh my god, too much. Okay. Arya, what the fuck? How dare you? Iconic. Oh my god, look at how pretty. Oh my god, I love it. I love this kind of shapes. These are the things that I want in my house. Concrete, something metal, and wood. Oh my god. I love the concrete. It gives it like such a raw kind of feeling. Oh. Well, sorry. Excuse me. In this case, couldn't they just have like parked this way? Couldn't they have just like parked this way? This is so impractical. Like you put the car there, then and then you leave. But then there's a car behind you. You have to wait for it to move all the way there. This is not what we thought. This is not smart technology. Okay. Thank you. Thank you. I don't like too much how it is inside. I mean, I would not say no if they gifted me this one. I don't like the kitchen stoves, the ones in the back. What? Does this give you the vibe of a smart home? Does this give you the idea of a smart home? This is so ugly. What? Where's the smartiness? A small fridge. I don't like the fridge. Mm-hmm. So tech! So tech! The tech! It's just like one of those like clips thing. It's like one of those clippity things. Yeah, that's exactly my issue. This is... Where is the tech? Where is the smart? Bro, it's not tech. It's a smart design. Okay. Okay. Alright. Okay. Lutron system sounds... What is the Lutron system? And this is smart? You touch a button and they go up and down? This is smart? Bro, that is not... Oh my god. Doors, lights, poggers. This is not what I wanted, chat. This is not what I wanted. Like, do we trust this futuristic Skyman? No, future is still the same guy. No, Eric Convert, you're not. We don't like you. I'm sorry. A smart house tour. This one maybe has 1 million. This one maybe it's Domotic. Let's see. This one might be better. I've never seen it. Okay, that's starting to look more. This is starting to look more. This sounds a little bit better. Merry Christmas to you, Lorenzo. Why don't they just have a picture then? But did the door stop open? Like, just like changes sometimes? They can also watch TV? I don't... Oh, there is the sofa. Okay, there is the sofa. Okay. I thought that sofa was not there. Oh, that's cool. That's cool. So, like, when you're watching TV, it just pops up there. Mm-hmm. Hmm. Yeah, but what if there's no one at home? Do they still turn on? So you spend electricity bill? Oh. Fair. I'm stupid. I was actually thinking like about like something. I was thinking about, oh, there must be like a button or something. Just. Chad, do you know another way to be very smart with your technologies? It's by using NordVPN. If you use my code, which is like, you use my link right there, which is study time, you also get a discount plus 4 months for free. Oh. Mm-hmm. What does it do? It just rings? Mm-hmm. Oh, it is smart. That's actually really cool. Why? So then, why were you watching a movie in the other room? Why aren't you watching it here? I'd rather have this, like save all the money that to go like to the cinema to create this in my house. Okay. Again, the Lutron. We had it in the other. Oh, these ones are cool. Oh, that is actually cool. Oh, couch console. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what? Oh. Oh. It's like the other one that the guy had, but it's not like turnable. Cringe. Why is this part of the smart house tour? Okay, listen, I might be a little bit too much, but I want to see a house that it's extremely like futuristic. Like Chad, I'm starting to think that my idea of a smart house is very different from the others. You think that it's automated rather than smart? Automations galore? Maybe this one? My vision is 100 years in the future. Cool intro. Cool intro. It's just the tip of the iceberg. Really, Tony? Hmm. Thank you. I like this kind of lights, but it's not. It's cozy, but it's smart. You're right. I think, chat, whenever I will get my own apartment, we're gonna start an entire format on how I will make my house extremely automated. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Clothes, food, something. Even like coffee. I don't know what else there is. Garden, lounge, AV equipment, Philips Hue, with no NordVPN. Ah! Did you hear the guy? Yeah, I was wondering why, Alex. Yeah. No way. Wow. Yeah, it was actually... What are motion sensors for? No. Yeah. Mm-hmm. This is actually cool. This is actually cool. This is actually cool. This is actually cool. Like, the other guy did not have the fact that because if it was late, it was just turning like just a red light. This is actually cool. Like a cool idea. This is actually cool. Bro, change the toilet paper. Your house is very smart, but please change. Like, it's empty. Just change it. Just throw it away. Cover poop sounds. Smart toilet paper, yeah. Yeah, no. Chat. Why there is none of the things that we're talking about? Why they're not like this one maybe? What a one maybe that may not exist. But I'm searching for a house that exists. Oh, still him. Yeah. Yeah, but sure. But then you know that you have to stop it. Listen, we are in 2022, almost 2023. I was expecting by now to have a entirely super smart TV, like super smart house. Like, it does everything for me. That I put my phone. I know that there is a guy on TikTok that someone was talking about. Right? I cannot even type TikTok anymore. That's how far I am from like understanding, remembering about it. This one. If I decide, I would love to automate my... No, let me do it. I'd like to automate my house. I'd love to, but I don't have a house yet. When I will get a house, then we can talk about it. Wait. No, okay. So many things. No. This is the guy that someone was talking about. This guy here. Glasses robot automation. It's cool. At least he understands that it's ridiculous. It's fine. This is actually cool. This is cool because it's homemade, yeah. Oh! Oh! This is cool. Mm-hmm. Okay. Imagine it if you put it like in a little box, like you put it inside a little box where there's just one cut, so you see only those ones, and you just have it like this. That would be so cool. Right? This is cool. Okay. Best tech gift. Which one do you want to watch? There's so many I want to watch. Wait, this is the one that we saw already. This one I already showed it to you, didn't I? I already showed this to you. Yes. Mm-hmm. Merry Christmas, Mickey. To be fair, Apple UI, it's always good. So they'll control you too, yeah. I will. I think that Apple UI is like, that's where they shine. We have to be honest on this one, right? Hi, Maddie. No, user interference, not UX, not user experience. You're too far into the Apple ecosystem. I think that I am too. The only, like, I used to be an Android person. Now I have an iPhone. After the iPhone, the iPad arrived because the ecosystem works just way too well to work with those two together. And then I have the AirPods now that I think that I have to go get fixed because they're not working anymore. The only thing that I don't have yet is like I don't have an Apple Watch. I don't have W11 though. What is W11? I have every single Apple product but two. What? Oh, I have Windows 11. Yes. Then I have, but the only thing is like I have Windows here. Apple TV, MacBook, Tower PC. I don't have any of those. Anyway. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh my god, chicken nuggets. Oh my god. Oh my goodness. Chicken nugget, it's 2011, your date of when you were born. Is that the day where, is that the year you were born? Man, I could be your mother. I could be your mother. Holy shit. I'm really sorry. If you need mommy's love, maybe this is the right time to give your mama a call. You know, it's almost Christmas. Just say hi to her. Maybe she can give you some of the love that you're missing. I'm sorry. Yesterday's ice rink kids joining to say this. Keep grinding. I like this guy. You're cute. Tell me. Yes. Yes, I want all of them. Really? Do you know this keyboard? Do you know this keyboard? Only $80? PDF file, what the fuck? That's what you're writing, and how is it? Is it good? Is it good? Hmm. Only 200? Red caps. Dude, he's talking fast because this is not a YouTube. It's a TikTok, and TikTok you have like in this case very few moments. Like the longer the TikTok is, the worse it goes. So it has to be like. I don't know if I would like it. I think that would be... I think this one would be too much of an asshole. Not asshole, but hassle. You got it. You got what I mean. That's it. That's the same, Rising. Same thing. Same thing. Yeah. Mm-hmm. Oh, I love the side of his desk. Look at that. Oh my god. Does your arm not ache? It's always up. Professional razor. Shit. Anyway, keyboard was actually a good idea. That is actually cool. Do you have anything else that you would suggest to attack comparison? Should I change the title of the stream? Yeah, probably. Probably. You know what I could do instead of like changing the title of the stream? And no, it is not going back to doing a tier list. It could be to go say hi to a friend's chat. I'm dying. I feel like I need to rest a little bit because later tonight I will have to talk so much to so many parents. Have a beautiful Christmas dinner! Have a beautiful Christmas dinner. Take care. I know that Christmas can be a bit difficult, and especially if you're spending time with family. It might be a little bit difficult. They might be asking questions that are a little bit too much. Just remember that they're not being personal. Or if they are being personal, just move on, alright? Anger or any kind of stress is just something that we don't need in our life. We're starting 2023 by staying a little bit more positive and hating less people. Alright? People, I love you so much. Thank you so much for being here. Merry Christmas. I'll see you tomorrow. Tomorrow, maybe not, actually. Maybe not tomorrow. Tomorrow I might be staying with the family at 25. But on the 26th, why not? Maybe 25 at night. Tomorrow night, maybe at night. Maybe we can do something at night. If I have nothing to do. Most probably I will not have anything to do. But the 26th, we have the puzzle competition. If you want to join a puzzle competition, join us on Discord, alright? Be good, everyone. I didn't remind you about that enough. I'm sorry. I love you. Be good, everyone. Bye. 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 I put my finger in my nose.